Thank you for joining the Nevada Department of Wildlife Conservation Education Program. My name is Abby Zarnecki. I am the Southern Region Angler Education Coordinator. Um, I've been fishing all my life in Southern Nevada. I actually grew up down here, along with our moderator, Nicole Hamlin. She'll also be filtering questions as we go, and I'll go ahead and launch the poll for you. So just curious how much fishing you do, how much you have to redo your reels or fishing line. Up north, you don't, I'm sure you have a little bit more humidity than we do, so you don't have to do it all the time. Down south, I do recommend it almost every year you redo your reels, even if they're inside. We're just a naturally dry climate, and Nevada overall is, so it can't hurt if you go fishing a lot, which it seems like most of you guys fish at least regularly. So as long as you're fishing regularly, once a year would probably be good to redo your line. As you're joining, if you can, answer the anonymous poll. It is very anonymous. I just see the lines going back and forth. And we'll leave this up for just another second. Let me leave that up in case anybody else joins and go over the rules. So your camera is automatically off and you're automatically muted. But again, if you want to participate, please send us a chat. That is under more usually for your options, or it might be right in the middle on the bottom. All your controls are on the bottom. We do like lots of questions, which brings us to the Q&A tab on that bar. Nicole will help me with the Q&A during the chat, and she'll reach out to me if I'm doing something and you guys bring something else up. We'll leave time at the end. This won't be too long, probably only like 20 minutes. And then we can go through other knots if you want, or if you have questions about any knots. We've been hitting some record awesome fish lately, so I've been doing a lot of more research on some of those saltwater knots to bring in those bigger fish. So that'll be a lot of fun. Thank you for sharing that. So most of us are at least sometimes or rarely and all the time. So we're right in the middle, so it's perfect. So we'll go over all of that. So most of you guys know the fisherman knot and the arbor knot, so we'll just fly right through those and then go on to the others. And this is recorded to YouTube later, so if there's a part you want to go back and watch, or somebody brings this up to you that they want to, that they missed it or something like that, you can share the link. All of our webinars are under a playlist tab on our YouTube channel. It takes about a week or two, depending on how many videos we've been working on. So if you're going to fix up your reel today too, you'll obviously need a reel. So I have a spinning reel here. I also have a spin cast just to show an example, and then a spool of line. Usually not a lot. We don't have that big open water like you would for saltwater for like the ocean. So usually one pack is not even like half a pack usually is enough to spool your lines. We'll talk about that. Pliers, multi-tool, or these awesome craft pliers with the wire, wire cutters are always awesome. Just not good, friendly for your pocket, but they're great for your fishing bag. And they usually come in a 3-pack, so it's kind of neat. And they work really, really well for fly tying or for any lure making, actually. And then a hook, swivel, or something to tie to. So if you want, here's another craft project. Sorry, fly box down there too. So all I did was I bought a small pack of hangers from the dollar store. So you get about 8. And then they actually naturally have a hole in the end here. I don't want to undo it because you can see that sorry, I have the bright light on so you can see, but it splits. So you have to be really careful when you put the eyelet in, but I wanted to make sure to use a bigger eyelet so you guys can see. But at home for your own tying, so you don't have to worry about getting poked with a hook, and the bigger the hook, the bigger the point is. I was making a fly, I think last night actually, with the FFI, and those 2-aught hooks are pretty sharp. So I do recommend when you're like messing with any knots and you're just going over and over and over again, go ahead and make one of these. I use PVC cutters are the best, but it cuts right through scissors, or razor blade, obviously in a safe spot because it'll cut right through and then you just rip it off. But again, it has the hole on either end and you just screw the little eyelet in. So we took one whole pack, 1 pack of eyelets, 1 pack of hooks, and you get 2 out of each. So we have enough for future in-person classes or for loaner kits. So again, if you, I see some more people joining. If you want to participate, please send us a chat. All right, next screen. We also have Michelle Lopez. She is our AmeriCorps for this year. She's been helping with a lot of our virtual programs as well. So she's on here to help moderate and answer questions. We do have a survey at the end. It automatically pops up as soon as you leave. Just let us know what you think, what you'd like to see. We have some more and more programs. We keep coming up with stuff that will either facilitate online or in person. So just make sure you saw the list of items if you're going to participate, and let us know. Our agenda, we're going to have the reel already stripped. So I have before and after examples, but that way you guys can see it better. I'll wait a minute and we'll go to my screen full screen. So we're going to do the reels, then we're going to show you the arbor knot on an empty reel. And then we're going to practice some knots. We're just going to go over the improved clinch knot, not the improved cinch knot, and also or sometimes I've seen it on I think it was mossy oak. It was also called the fisherman's knot. So same thing. Polymer knot is a great bass knot. Also to tie on your flies as well. And it's reinforced for up to 20 pounds. And then the uni knot and double uni knot are great for line-to-line connections, and also they're a little stronger too. So those are great knots when you're using braided line or braid to leader. So let me answer this real quick. So the question is, you said to change your line every year. Does that include mono and fly line? So, okay, so I did mean mono or any of those, or any, I'm drawing a blank, or any plastic type lines, because you can see how the memory gets in there. So you want to change that out so that memory is just going to cause knots in the future. And especially if you take your family out, I know I have to change my son's probably more than I'd change mine, because I know he's going to get knotted up faster. Fishing line, fly line just needs cleaned, and it should be cleaned depending on how many hours you're out. Probably should be cleaned every time you go out, or at least once a year, depending on how many times you go out as well. And for that, you use a non-abrasive water-based lubricant. I wish I had it with me. I don't think I have one here at all. It's at the office. But it's a spray lubricant, and we just strip down the line. We find a nice clean area, usually put down like a painter's like the liner for when you paint. That way it's nice and clean. And then just strip out all the line for the fly line, wipe it down really, really good. Get those shop towels. Well, sorry, not the shop towels, the rags from like the hardware stores where you would get the spray lubricant, and clean it really, really good. Also, another thing to check as you're doing your line, so I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing for now so you guys can see what I'm trying to show you. I did not do this one. But you can kind of see there's not much of a gap. And so this one is over full. So this is just going to come shooting off and make a nice little net or over bunch. Ideally, you want it only like maybe 2/3, and that is plenty of line for most of our waters. And again, you'll know. So I have this box for the bass line. Polymer, that's the word I was looking for. So this one too, you probably want to change out a little more often, or at least clean with water-based, nothing abrasive. And when I say abrasive, that means all the hand sanitizers we are using right now are so bad for fish and fishing line. So try to use soap and water whenever you go out. Bring a bucket of water and a nice light bar of soap. Would be a lot nicer on the fish and your equipment. And your fishing line, because that's just going to help it break down if you're using an alcohol-based anything on it. But on this box, it says 300 yards. Our ponds, I've done them on Google Earth. You can do it on Google Earth before you go out too, so kind of plan your trip ahead. They're not going to be that far out. You're not going to be able to shoot that far out. 100 yards is a ways out. So this technically could probably do 3 lines. Tonight, just for visual purposes, I'm just going to use my braided line that you get like from the hardware store. I go to Lowe's for a lot of this stuff. So just those braided lines that they use to mark construction sites are great. Usually come in bright colors. Sorry, there's a dark reddish pink, bright pink, orange. I almost bought orange today just because I love orange. But the white and red is going to show up for you really, really well. So let me go back to the PowerPoint real quick, and then we'll get into the fun stuff. Thank you for the question. All right, so we're going to do the arbor knot first, and you can see this is the reel, and we're going to go around the reel, and then we're going to give ourselves plenty of room to create a little knot on the end. That way, when we cinch it down, it tightens down on that knot over here and makes it nice and tight. Not too tight, you just need it tight enough to hold in place. And Nicole, as we go, Nicole is going to share the animated knot versions. And then I also have these visuals from 101knots.com. So you have 2 options. Either way, if you just type in fishing knot instructions, both of these sites are the 2 that I highly recommend looking into. They do nice contrasting colors, and so does animated knots. I am also, so I'm going to stop and we're going to do this part. Switch to the real screen. There we go. All the stuff I threw down while I was talking to you. There we go. So obviously, so for spinning reels, we're going to open the bail. That's always the tricky part when you're doing it on a table. And then I'm going to loop it around, right? Create that nice little loop, regular knot. Sorry, not a regular knot, a knot around the line. So sometimes even with the fishing line, I'll just do it in my hand and loop around, right? So that gives you that circle there. All right, you're not seeing it. Circle. There we go. So loop around, and then that, and create that circle around the line, making sure I give myself enough room to tie the knot at the end. So we have 1 circle around the main line, tighten it up just a little bit, and put that knot in the end. And I burned these edges too, so I can do these over and over again. And you try to get it as close to the end because you want to cinch it down. This is a good time to cut that off if you don't want it. So I would cut it down just a little bit more so it doesn't get stuck in the bail. And then you cinch down. And you can see how it gets caught on there. And then now it's, when you unhook it, right, it's going to pull up onto the track. And you start lining it up. There we go. And it starts lining up for you. So again, I would only fill, so I want to show that. I would only go about halfway. I'd probably only go to where it filled up about halfway on there. So to show you this one, a spin cast, our old number on it. This one even has less because these are at the urban ponds. What I learned is all the kids, when we did the school groups for the fishing field trips, which was up until, we did a couple last spring, they can't sit still, right? Most kids can't. So me having extra on here when obviously we're not casting that far out at the urban ponds just created more of a mess for them and for me. And the less I had on there, the less knots I had. And it was a lot easier to untangle. I'll actually do some videos on that too. So for kids that aren't casting way out for small bodies of water, I even do like a half to a third of the line and count to maybe 100, and just check on it as I go and make sure it's going on there evenly too, just to double check. Also, when I put the reel back on, or the lid back on for these reels, I make sure that the pin is out and the line catches on it. And then that way you don't have the line, stuck in a place. Like it'll either go into the threading down here, or it gets lost in there and doesn't catch on the pin. So I always make sure the pin's out before I get going. And you can check your line too. You'll check the memory. Another thing, I don't think you'll be able to see it that much. This one's pretty good. This, like I said, this one I just did recently. You can feel the line. Oh, you could even see it if it was bad. Let me, so this one might have it. So when the line's really bad, there we go. You can usually see the grooves, and from the wear and tear, oh yeah, here we go. On the end here, you kind of see it's bumpy. See how it's not smooth in the light? And you can almost see that it's not smooth, especially right this part that I just went across. You can feel your line when it's really bad. So you can always do a field test too. And if there's any grooves, that's also memory or just broken down from dirt. And if you catch any decent sized fish, it's gonna just get away, break your line. Definitely check on that. Tighten this one up. And most of these too, I think I got it down to like 10 minutes. I do 4 of these for the family and then 4 spinning or fly rods, depending on what we're doing in the weather. That way each of us have 2 poles ready to go. And you have two different options depending on the weather. So, or if it's overcast, if it's bright and sunny, the fish are going to be hiding from you. So you may want to do bait instead of a lure, depending on which one you're using. So all that little stuff goes into those factors. Go back to sharing. Please, yeah, keep asking questions. You may answer it later on. We spooled the line, right? We only went to like a half, maybe 3/4 if it's Lake Mead. And we're going down the out in the middle or by the islands. And even by the islands, it gets pretty shallow and you can see the bottom. So this is the clinch knot. The only difference between the improved clinch knot and the clinch knot is the tie tag at the end. So I'm going to get this off. So with the clinch knot, improved clinch knot even, we are going to go through the hook. I want to get the white line so you guys can see better. There we go. Then we're going to go around minimum 4 times. 5 to 6 is ideal. Also, if it's dry, some sort of moisture. If your hands are clean, licking them before you're going is honestly really good. Or just your water bottle and helps cinch it down nice and tight too. Okay, so we're going to use the other end. This one's falling apart. I might need to get more braided line. It might have gotten dried out too. All right, so we're going to go around. We're going to go back through the hole above the eye. And let me make sure that you guys can see. There we go. So there's always a hole created right above the eye. And that's where we're going to go back through and usually tie off. But the reason it's improved is because we're going to go back up over through the side. And I apologize, I thought I had the right picture for you. We're going to go back through the side, and that is going to hold it on more too. And you're going to see that in some, I believe it's called the Mission. That's what they use in San Diego. It's called the San Diego Jam, I think, actually. And they go back up through. They do a pretty much uni knot and then back up through to make it nice and tight and sturdy. All right. So switch my camera and stop the sharing. All right, so we have our hook for you. We have our line. This is going to be our tag end, which is the end that we're going to tie to a hook. So we go through the eye, pull up, give yourself room, especially with that little fishing line, and start looping. So I find sometimes, depending on the size of the hook, it is easier just to loop or turn the hook, and there's even some pretty cool tools for that now. Or turn, it's, you can see how it unwinds, so it's a little harder to do that. So I definitely recommend turning the hook, making sure you only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 loops. Take that tag end, we're gonna turn our hand, go through that hole above the eye. And now we have another hole next to our turns, loops, and go back up through there. If I have enough room, sometimes I'll even put a little knot in this part, especially if I'm taking kids out to a rocky area. And then you cinch it down and it creates that nice little stack on top. All right, and that's not going to go anywhere. All right, and then if you guys want to see any of these again, let me know. And like I said, they are recorded to YouTube, so you can hit pause and stop and start, and Nicole's sharing links for you to hit pause, start, and stop too. All right. So another really good one is the polymer knot. And that one actually goes under the hook. So this one we actually double up on the end. And almost fully double. So you also have the option, if you want, you guys can vote for it too. You can have the instructions on one side, and I won't stop the presentation, or I can make the video big. So you can either do side by side or just one or the other. I am planning to do one or the other, but if you want side by side, let me know. That is an option on Zoom. So we're going to double it up so we have plenty of room, at least the size of the hook. We're going to double, and I'm holding the tag end over here. We're just going to create a regular knot, have room for this loop to go under, for the hook to go through the loop and go up and around, and then just cinch it down. And this will hold up to 20 pounds. And I say up to, there are better knots for bigger fish and for fighting fish. So I've doubled the knot, made sure it's going to go over my hook enough. We're going to take the curled end through the eye. So I always push up. And if you have thicker line, like 10 pound, it goes through the eye a little, it's more difficult. So definitely the easiest way is just to push to flatten that, the bend, to flatten the bend of the line. Go through the eye, pull about halfway to your tag end. And go about halfway, or maybe even further, so that we make sure that we have our line to go below it, right? We still have to put a knot in. So we're going to go almost to the end, create that loop, but we're going to make a loose loop. Making sure we don't lose where the tag end is. Tighten a little bit, go below. And as we cinch up, it's going to tighten up. So when you're practicing with this braided line, you actually have to keep it pretty loose, and then just hold the tag end out of the way, and then cinch it down. Keep cinching it down. Keep cinching it down. A lot easier with fishing line, but it's a lot easier to see with this. And that's it. And there are double polymer knots, so you would just do 2 loops and then cinch it down. Again, since you're cinching it down, make sure you're wetting this section either with your mouth if your hands are clean. If not, just a water bottle should work plenty well. And then I'm undoing it so we can go a new one. There we go. Don't hesitate to ask any questions. You can send them privately too if you want. All right, so one of my favorite knots is our next one, the uni knot. It's considered a very reliable bass knot. And then the double uni knot is for line to leader connections. Sometimes people use surgeon knot, but I'm going to show you the uni knot and then the double uni knot. And I've honestly used it for my fly line to leader connections as well, just because I guess it was easier for me to wrap my head around, and it was really, really smooth through the eyes, through the guides. So, all right. So this one, you're going to create enough room. Make sure you get up to the side. And make sure you have enough room. So I'm going to show on here. We're going to start with the white one just because contrasts with the blue better. So as we go through, I'm going to get this one started just while we're talking. And you want to make sure you have a plenty of room because you're going to go back through. So you almost triple it up. Obviously with fishing line, you don't need as much, but when you're getting started, definitely give yourself room to wiggle through. So you double it, and then you're going to go down and create that loop so that your line loops through the circle all the way up. And then that way it is up above. It almost looks like a dead man's knot, but it's going to cinch down all the way to the hook. So that's the difference with that one. All right. So to show what I was talking about, we're going to give ourselves plenty of room. That's why I created extra line. This one's curling on me, so we're going to go the other way. So whichever way your line's curling, I highly recommend working with it, not against it. So holding it up, turning it for you guys to see better. We're going to go around the main line, but we're going to loop inside the loop, or sorry, inside the other line. So we're going to go around and around and around and around. We're going to double check. We have like 4, and we're going to do one more. And holding the tag end in the main line. It is honestly easier with fishing lines sometimes because then you see, sorry. So holding your 2 lines, we're going to go around both of them. One, I am confusing myself doing it backwards for the camera. Okay, holding up, there we go, and go around. But always making sure you're going up towards the fishing rod end. There we go. There we go. Now we're inside the line, holding and cinching down. Great. I'll do that one more time since I didn't do that very well for you.
Abby, can you bring it a little more to the left of the screen?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a little bit more centered. It was kind of falling off the side.
Yeah,
There you go.
Put my dot down there too. That's what that's for, to try to, thank you. So we're going to go back, create a 4. And turn it up. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then fold and down. There we go. And as I was going through marking all these, there are tons of really good ones that are nice and strong. And again, this is one you can just cut right there, or you can create a little knot to reinforce it even more. Okay. So then the next one is the double uni knot. Go back to the PowerPoint real quick just to show you the line-to-line connection. With the fishing line too, if it's an old box, that's great to tie with too, because then you can just cut it as you go. All right. So for the double uni knot, we went through. No. Okay. So we're going to have our lines side by side. We're going to go over and loop along and pull up. Then we're going to go and do that on the other side. Right? We're going to go towards the other one, looping up and away. And again, this is where this needs to be wet. So some people actually just put their mouth because it's clean, right? They're going to have clean hands and they're going to wet between the two loops before they cinch it down. Because if you cinch it down without any moisture, it is just going to tear that line and actually like burn it. So because you're going from like what usually this is with a braid or something sturdier and then monofilament or at least monofilament coated or something like that. It's all made of plastic and as it heats up, it can like melt and break. So you want to cinch this down with moisture before you slide it down, have it wet. And then other link is on the 101 knots as well. All right, so we don't need a hook for this one because we're going line to line. And we're going to tie them like that. So I'm going to start with the left side, so the white one here, creating that loop. And now that we've created that loop, we're going to go up. There we go. And then we're going to go up. 1, 2, 3, just for the demo purposes, and tighten that one down. Not all the way, just a little bit. Now we have the white on the red. We lay the white one down, pick up the red line, create that loop. And for this one, we looped towards the other one, and now we're going to wrap up. There we go. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, and cinch this one down. So because I had so much, I created it a little further. I'm going to start tightening. There you go. We have one line on here, one line on here. Tighten the white, tighten the red. Get this part wet with your water bottle. Grab one red line, one white line, and cinch it down. And that is going to create a really tight, strong line. You can see how nice and clean. Sorry, back here. You can see how nice and clean that is. Even cleaner with your fishing line. And then you can cut it all the way down on both of these sides. There you go. You have your line to line, or yeah, line to line connection, and something nice and smooth that cuts right through the guide. All right. Any specific knot questions? Your line can be recycled. It's a little harder right now with the COVID, but we do have a scout project in the works, and we're hoping, and we're talking to the city of Las Vegas next week as well. Hopefully at our urban ponds, we will have fishing line receptacles at all of them. Creates more garbage for you, or garbage cans for the public. Some of the sporting goods will take it in. They have little recycled boxes there. And we can ship it to the manufacturer. So let me know if you need help with any of that. The uni knot's really strong. So we had a question, when would I use the uni knot versus the double uni knot? I actually use the double. I don't have my fly rod in my room. I actually leave most of my fly rods in my car in case we get to run to the park. Sorry. Who you're talking to. The uni knot is stronger. I would honestly use it for any lure I care about. You can double it up like we saw with that. You can actually create more loops and just make sure you put that moisture on when you're cinching it down, make it stronger. I would honestly use it for almost anything. I really like the uni knot a lot. The fisherman's knot, the improved clinch knot, I still have a hard time sometimes keeping those hooks on when the kids get stuck in the rocks at the park or on a submerged bush. Because I swear the kids find every single one of them. Or the fish is really good at hiding in those bushes, right? Once you catch it, and it tangles it up for you. So the uni knot is just stronger. I'd highly recommend it if you're going for bigger fish, if you're in a rocky area. And then the double uni knot you can use with any line-to-line connection, as long as, so you usually use a nail knot when you do fly line to the leader, only because it's hard to manipulate the fly line around the, to do that with the fly line. But honestly, I was able to do it and it looked really, really nice. If you want me to get it afterwards, I will totally run out to the car and grab it. Just so I can show you that knot too. So I really like the uni knots, and you can do double, triple, depending on, or I'm sorry, I'm thinking of a surgeon knot. You can double or triple a surgeon knot as well. And it's pretty much the same type of tying. You just tie them together. So practice, practice, practice. That's why I wanted to make this video and have you all come on. If there's a specific knot, let me know. But the more we practice, the more time we have to be home and not have to drive around for everything. The less our fishing lines and reels look like this. So be a responsible recreator and angler. Practice, keep those medium-sized fish, let the big ones go and reproduce, and the small ones grow and go and grow. You get more food out of the bigger fish too. Any questions about any fishing spots, fishing lines, and any other knots? But thank you all for coming. And we have the survey on the way out. Let us know what you thought, what you'd like to see more of, and check our website. You guys can email me. You can take a picture of my number and email address. You guys can call and check anytime, check in on anything. I'm happy to help.